I kind of thought about what students did last year that didn't give them the grades that they loved. So I definitely follow the rubric, and Paula's awesome. Like each year she kind of updates and records more pieces. So watching the assignment video that she included is going to be really helpful. This rubric, will let me open it. Yes, it will. I, how do I do this? I feel like I'm going to cover this up. When I talked about going through these pieces, I looked at the good section, and that's how I did this talk, to kind of outline it. So if you want to get a good mark, and we're looking at the natural history of the region, where did I put that one? You're going to include a minimum of 2 examples in this overview. So you're going to make sure that you're talking about the geological, the ecological, the biological features of the region. So doing some background history before you go to your sit spot would be really important. And making sure that you're discussing those pieces that you researched in your presentation. This one is only worth 4%. So if you don't include it, you don't get 4% of your mark. And that was something that was missing for some of the students last year. This homeland information is going to be key because it's going to help you with your land acknowledgement. The fact that you're going to research before you pick your spot, because I think some students had a hard time finding out, well, who were the original inhabitants of this area that you're choosing. And that makes it really tricky if you pick your spot first and then you don't have that. So I'd suggest doing your research before you go to that spot. Because if you invest the hour time frame of sitting there and then you come back and you think, how do I find this out? You might have to go to the research in the library. You might want to go to the Peterborough Museum if you're in this area, or if you're outside of this area, looking at those resources like museums will be very helpful because they can help you there as well. A heartfelt land acknowledgement is often better than one that you copy and paste from a different organization, which I've had that, and the different organization is on the PowerPoint. I don't know how to explain how not cool that is. A minimum again of 2 examples. Just because you add 3 examples but don't demonstrate a deep understanding doesn't mean that you're automatically going to get in that excellent mark. Like if you're looking at here, it says 2, 3 or more examples, but this one says 2 or more. But if you don't have that lined up with a deep understanding, it's just examples. I don't know how better to explain that piece. Again, the settler colonial impacts are worth 4%. So making sure that you have a discussion of the impacts, how the colonialism has specifically affected it, and then examples to either, I think she talks environment, degradation, human occupation and development. So you don't have to do them all. And it doesn't mean just adding more. It means how do you move from a good explanation to a very deep understanding, or very specific and well documented, for that move to excellent. You're going to want to include, she suggests 3 to 5 outside sources. So you want to listen to all of the understanding that you've gained from lectures and the readings and coursework along the 10 sessions, because you want to look at maybe what your background research is. If you're in different courses, then you want to bring that information in. Their observations, if you notice, is worth 10%. Last year, it was quite evident in the comments of who didn't really spend an hour in a sit spot. It's better now when the weather is warmer, definitely harder when it's raining and snowing and colder. So I suggest banking for an hour, dressing appropriately, bring your journal, bring something to capture video or audio or pictures with. Um, your you're going to want to sit there for 30 minutes or explore the area. But I suggest the more you take the time to use all your senses, not that I'm encouraging you to take a drink or take a taste of anything that isn't edible, but the more you see, feel, hear, and touch, the better. And sitting and really thinking about the interconnectedness of your experience and your senses, and then the personal object that you choose. Students have chosen man-made objects in the past, and it's not quite the same reflection or personal response. So I wouldn't suggest that. I'd suggest using something from the land. And do I have any other pieces? Your final reflection is the next large percentage. So that's going to depend on how long you sat in your sit spot and what you can gather. 15 minutes is a vast difference than the full 60 sitting there. Your discussion and what you choose to share. Again, students lost marks when they didn't include Kaheti. If she specifically mentions it in the rubric and you want to move from a good mark to excellent, you're going to want to include what she specifically asks for in the rubric. I am going to follow the rubric very closely. And that's where my feedback will be from. The last part is presentation format. The tricky part here is it's only worth 2%. Yet, if you use the same color font as the background and I can't read your slide, like I can't get your information if you're not talking over that slide. So that makes it tricky. Also, if you make your font really, really small, I'm significantly older than the majority of the students I'm marking, but even if I can't blow it up to see it in your presentation, I can't give you marks for it. And I know that is a bias I have, but I really, glasses are not, I have to be able to see it. So like if you can think about putting your most essential points on the PowerPoint and then using your audio to really express what you want to share as important, that would be fantastic for my opportunity to get the most out of your presentation. Oh my gosh, sometimes when you record, I can't hear what you're saying, and that again will prohibit like full marks. So if you can listen to your presentation thoroughly before you submit it and just make sure everything is, you can see everything and I can hear everything, that would be great. Did I say no, don't make the whole PowerPoint full of print? Oh, and please, 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 I want to emphasize capitalize Indigenous people. It's an important piece if you're taking this course, that even though your citations might not have capitals, if you're doing direct quotes, that's fine. But in any other area in your presentation, it should be capitalized because we're in 2024 and everything you might have read or seen will use different terminology, but I'm going to tell you this will help your marks. Paula recommends 15 minutes top for any audio. I'm going to stick by that because there's a lot to be marked. And if you're going to go over into 20, 25 minutes, I'm going to cut you off. And whatever you have outside of that, you're going to be sad because I can't listen to 100 presentations. It's tricky. She recommends 10 to 15 slides, and on like if you all have this piece, 2 pages to talk about. She says do an intro slide. Make sure you include our course and your name and what group you're in. Because sometimes some people have submitted to incorrect groups along our course, and that makes it really tricky to find out who you are and what person should be marking. So an intro slide, a natural history slide, a homeland slide, settler colonialism, and then your observations and final reflections. So that's a total of about 6 or 7 slides. And then you can decide if you want additional ones, but your works cited should come into